So have you ever, there's a large gap with your children, but I'm assuming with unit studies, you have done one subject at both the age level of your older child and your younger child. What did that look like in your house?
Studies are a huge part of that. I think that because both kids can kind of enhance their learning based on where they are in their mindset. So like, for instance, continuing with penguins, right? Mm-hmm. My son might be interested in the anatomy and the physiology and all those things, but my daughter might be more interested in how many types of penguins are there. Mm-hmm. Now you've engaged, he's already studied these things. So guess who's teaching who? Now he's telling her what he learned, and then she can tell him her ideas. Then they can collaborate together on those ideas and learn more together, which I really love watching because it's where you kind of get to step back and watch your kids work, So like they might get an idea to maybe build a Lego set based on whatever that idea was that they just had. Well, now they're working together and it doesn't matter the age difference. She's now learning what he already knew. She's now expanding her horizons and maybe even giving him an idea or an opportunity to think differently about something. Because again, they are different people with different personalities and thought processes. And one is not going to think the exact same as the other one. She might ask a question that he never thought to get an answer to.
Right. So exactly.
In that model, you're able to watch your kids kind of teach each other and then bring you in when they both might not know the answer. And then it becomes a more of a symbiotic type of education as opposed to I have to stand here and teach you. Now it's become a life experience that we have together.
Right. Yeah. And research shows that we learn through relationships. We don't learn by having information thrown at us. You have to interact with it. And the only way you can interact with it is with other people. And so, it's such a benefit. And I think that we avoid that benefit out of fear that, well, the older child's not going to learn anything, or the younger child won't understand it. I mean, that's oftentimes those responses that you hear from families that kind of avoid that intermixing, that they want to have a whole set of curriculum at this level for one child and a whole set of curriculum. And I think that runs mom into the ground. But
and if you think about how education began in a schoolhouse to begin with, when they started, everybody was in one room learning at their pace. And the older ones that knew some more were teaching the younger ones. And they didn't separate them into skill level and such because they didn't have the curriculum. They didn't have the books. They didn't have all the things that we now have to separate everything. They had to bring everybody together. And when they didn't have school, they schooled at home and learned experientially through the learning that they gained from their parents. And living on farms and doing the work of the industries that their parents were involved in, learning that type of math and science and history, and even sometimes different languages, depending on where you live. And I think we lose that because of the necessity to succeed so much in what we're doing. Like you said, so a lot of times we're so obsessed with getting to the 100% that we're not worried about how we actually learn? Have we actually grown? Is there something that we've latched onto that I will remember for the rest of my life? If anybody watching would just go back in their mind for a second and and just think about how many things from just, if you were public schooled, one of the years, your freshman year, let's look at your freshman year. What do you remember that you learned from just your freshman year of high school? And see if you can remember anything that had nothing to do with you being experiential, hands-on, things of that nature. If you can't remember anything, it's because you didn't learn it. You just repeated it for the process. So you could look as though you had a proficiency, but the truth was you memorized it and spat it out, and that's as far as it went. It did not become a part of who you are as a person and your experiences in life. Those are the things that you look at. What do you need to teach your kids? The things that you know will stick with them.